Trump's tariffs are not legal. That's according to a federal appeals court. In a 7-4 ruling, the court held that President Trump does not have the legal authority to declare a national emergency in order to impose sweeping tariffs. Today's ruling likely sets the stage for a Supreme Court showdown over the scope of presidential power.
KTLA's John Fenolio joins us live from the KTLA News Center with more on the impact of the court's decision and what's next. John?
Share Court, this ruling marks the second time a federal court has struck down Trump's use of emergency powers to impose sweeping tariffs. Tariffs he claims are necessary to fight drug trafficking and correct trade imbalances. But a federal appeals court now says the Constitution does not grant him that power.
In a major blow to President Trump's trade policies, the U.S. Court of Appeals found that Mr. Trump exceeded his authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. The court said the power to impose tariffs, or taxes, lies squarely with Congress, not the White House. The president's tariffs targeted nearly all imports and most of America's major trading partners, including Canada, Mexico, and China. The court called them unbounded and ever-changing, saying they had no clear limits or oversight. The ruling won't take effect until mid-October, giving the Trump administration time to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court.
What this means, at least at the moment, is we're in a holding pattern. So the tariffs remain and the cost of imports remain very high. That hasn't changed from a consumer point of view, but from a political point of view and from a legal point of view, boy, this is a big ruling because it really puts the president's back against the wall. He now has to defend his use of emergency powers.
Trump responding swiftly on social media, calling the court highly partisan, and warning that removing tariffs would be a total disaster for the country. Attorneys for the plaintiffs, which include small businesses and a dozen states, praising the decision as a win for the Constitution and for American consumers. Supporters of Mr. Trump's tariffs argue that striking them down could hurt national security and damage foreign policy efforts. Trump has long argued the U.S. will rake in billions in revenue from tariffs and that they'll revitalize U.S. manufacturing.
But many economists say that's just wishful thinking. The simple fact is global supply chains are all over the world, and you can't reproduce them domestically. So even if you put up a factory, a car plant, for example, in the United States, it still needs to get its parts from somewhere, and those parts are going to be manufactured in Mexico and Canada and elsewhere. That labor is now all overseas. In that sense, you're not going to see a huge change, and the reality is things just get more expensive.
All right, and the appellate court paused its ruling from taking effect until October.